following program comes from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, songwriter, 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania. And the first to launch her own podcast, which gives you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes and extraordinary entertainers. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Welcome, everybody, to Chasing Glory. It is great to have each and every one of you with me here today, especially because we're coming to you from Hollywood, California, and California has been hit so hard with these fires. If you guys haven't heard the news or seen it around, it has been completely devastating. And I hate to start a show with bad news, but this is just life that's happening, and it's a call to action, please. California needs your help so badly. There's been so many homes that have been lost, but more importantly and more serious is the fact there has been so much loss of life. There's complete towns that have been gone. Like Paradise, California is completely gone. I hear that Malibu has really been hit hard. There are places in Calabasas, Agora Hills, Thousand Oaks. Tons of my friends have had to evacuate. Some of them have luckily been able to go back and see that their home's okay, including Candace Michelle. She had to evacuate with her kids and her husband with just the clothing on her back. And luckily they did go back and find out that the house was saved. But you should see, she posted this. It was crazy how close the flames came to her home. And, it's just, the thing is, 40 homes around her were completely devastated. I mean, completely gone. That's in like an entire community. So it's just, I have to talk about this because there are times that we can all be up and excited and, happy and all of that. And there's times that things like this happen that we really do need to talk about it and need to come together and help each other out, because as you can see, there's devastations that go on all over the world. So if you want to help out, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do, they want to feel like they're contributing. The easiest way, of course, is going to American Red Cross. All you have to do is text the word Red Cross to 90999. If you do that, it makes a $10 donation. You can do that multiple times if you want to give more than $10. But even $10, guys, at this point really does help. There is food that needs to be bought. There is shelter. There are kids' supplies. There's all sorts of things that have been needed. So that's Red Cross to 90999. Also, the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation, they support the first responders. And I just have to stop a minute and just thank the first responders, all you firefighters out there, all the emergency responders out there. Wow, you guys go into the fires, you go into the dangerous places so that you can help out. And really can't thank you enough. You probably don't get enough credit. And so now's the time to really let you know what it means for everything that you're doing. Just here in Los Angeles and in Hollywood, the smoke is so bad. The breathing is so hard because of the smoke. And I can't even imagine being in the brunt of the fire, how these guys do it. And everyone that's having to escape it and all, the pictures are horrendous. Anyway, so thank you to the fire department. The CFF Wildfire Relief Fund, they're raising money as well. The United Way of Greater Los Angeles, of course, you can donate that way. The Entertainment Industry Foundation, they're raising money through Fire Relief Fund. The Humane Society, now a lot of the Humane Societies accepting animals. These shelters are just covered with just animals. There's so many of them. So thank you to them, and you could donate to help out, to buy food for them. You can also go to Baby to Baby. Now they are trying to raise money, like I was saying, kids supplies, for baby supplies, blankets, food, clothing. You got also the Firefighters Charitable Foundation. They're accepting donations. The California Volunteers, it's a state office that manages volunteer programs in California, and they've created a list of services and donation options to help victims that are affected by the Camp Woolsey and Hill fires. Airbnb, I love this, in the fact that they are providing a way to have accommodations for free. They're letting people know what houses are open in their area. They're accepting people, and over 700 homes have been open to evacuees. I love that. I love that. So bottom line, guys, you can donate with money or you can donate by volunteering your services. There's always a way to help out. I've been helping out, and I just encourage all of you to please help out. Okay, we're going to segue from that to actually some good news is that it's Veterans Day today. So happy Veterans Day to all those veterans out there all over the world that you're serving for us. Thank you for your service if you are currently serving, and of course, thank you for your service if you have served in the past. My dad was a lieutenant colonel, and I was actually born on a military base, so the military runs through my blood. I appreciate each and every one of you, so I hope that today you will get all the thanks that you deserve. Of course, we should be thanking you every single day. Every time I run into some kind of soldier or veteran, if I know if it's veteran, I always thank them for their service. So I hope that you do the same because they do give up a lot. So thank you. Someone else that's making a huge impact in the world was my guest from last week, Jay Shetty. Now, some of you might not know who Jay Shetty is, but this is a man who has over 3 billion views on his videos and over 20 million followers. I am definitely one of his followers, an incredible man who is definitely making an impact and changing lives every single day. And I loved getting the response from so many of you. They had never heard of him, and you gave the interview an opportunity, and you were like, whoa, this interview was solid. They were so impressed. I even had somebody from my staff who even told me, this man is making me rethink how I live my life daily. Now that is powerful. So if you've heard it, I'm so glad you took the time to listen. If you have not, please give it an opportunity. Just listen to the first 10 minutes of it, and I'm telling you, you're going to be sucked in, and you're going to know why I'm making such a big deal about Jay Shetty and this interview. I wanted this man for so long, and I put it in my vision to have him on the show. And when it came to fruition, I was so excited, and he did not disappoint at all. I walked out of there going, this was magical. So I was very excited to bring this to you. Like I said, I want to start doing that, bringing you guys that maybe you've never heard of, and just give it a shot. And you'll learn so much from people all over the world. There's these nuggets, these magical nuggets that you can get from listening to these interviews that you can apply to your life. So that's what the goal is here. So thank you, Jay, for being such an amazing guest and taking the time to be on Chasing Glory. And that brings me to today's guest. So after Evolution, I hung around and I went to Monday Night Raw, and I was looking around wondering, who can I interview? Who should I interview? Who should be next on Chasing Glory? And I was looking around the ring, and then I saw Mojo Rawley. And I was like, you know what? I would love to know more about Mojo. So, of course, I approached him, and he instantly was like, I would love to be on Chasing Glory. So we sat down, and what got revealed was so powerful. Man, what an amazing man. I love doing these interviews for that reason. I didn't know the story behind Mojo, and I knew that he had played for the NFL, but I didn't know everything that it took to get in the NFL and what he endured when he was over at the University of Maryland, how he had to take things into his own hands, like matters into his own hands as far as the things that were going down. And this guy's fought ever since he was pretty much born, because he has so many siblings and just the way that they grew up. Fierce fighter and amazing man of what he has done academically. I mean, he's been the president of so many things and the honor rolls, and you're going to hear things that are going to blow your mind about Mojo. I guarantee in this interview, when you walk out of here, you will have a whole new perspective of who Mojo Rawley is, and you are going to be cheering for him. I'm telling you, I guarantee it. That's how much this interview is just so insightful. My husband was, when he listened to it, he's like, whoa, I had no idea. Now he says, I definitely am pulling for him. So let me know when you write the review. Let me know what you think of this interview. When you tweet me, when you on Instagram, on your responses, let me know what you think of this interview. I would love to hear feedback from all of you. Okay, without further ado, here is Mojo Rawley's journey of chasing glory. Born Dean Mutati, the superstar known now as Mojo Rawley, knew from the beginning that he had greatness ahead of him. A native of Alexandria, Virginia, he was a standout high school athlete that led him to playing for the University of Maryland, where he became the second player in the school's history to play every position on defense. He was an academic standout as well, where he was one of the top student athletes and was named to the All-ACC academic team and earned his master's degree from the business program. After college, he had a job waiting for him at one of the top financial firms in the country, where he interned as a 7th grader and worked there through college, but chose to try his luck in the NFL, where he successfully tried out and earned a contract with the Green Bay Packers and then went on to play for the Arizona Cardinals. But unfortunately, injuries cut his football career short. That is when Mojo decided to attempt his luck in a different environment when he tried out for the WWE. His tryout was successful and he joined their developmental system, FCW, which is now NXT. Mojo quickly made a name for himself with his stay hype mentality and would later form a partnership with Zack Ryder, where they were known as the Hype Bros and would be a staple in the NXT Tag Team division. During the 2016 draft, Mojo Rawley would make his main roster debut when he was selected by SmackDown Live, and the Hype Bros would carry their momentum over in front to the WWE Universe. After an injury to Zack Ryder, Mojo would try his hand at singles competition, and during WrestleMania 33 kickoff show, Mojo won the 4th annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal with the help of his close personal friend, All-Pro Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski. By the end of the year, a change of attitude struck Mojo Rawley when he turned on Zack Ryder, and he developed a more serious tone that has led him to notable victories on SmackDown as well as his current home on Monday Night Raw. Although he was a defensive player on the football field, there is no doubt Mojo will find the end zone in the wrestling ring. It's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Mojo Rawley. Wow, here I am backstage, Monday Night Raw, and I had to get this interview. Mojo Rawley is in the house.
There we go.
This is exciting.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is great. I tell you why. First of all, guys, I want to warn you that you'll probably hear backstage noises because Monday Night Raw is going on as we speak. So I grab Mojo and I'm like, come on, we're going to go in this corner and we're going to get your Chasing Glory story.
That's right.
That's how it is, man. Nothing stops. Nothing stops. Mojo, I've been intrigued with you since you came on. I hear about your football career, all these, accomplishments that you have done. Oh my God, looking you up, and studying you, I'm like, Jesus, this guy's been the president of this and the honor roll of this and that. Pretty impressive. Really impressive.
It was definitely a long, hard-fought path to get here, I can tell you that.
Well, I want to know what that path is like. So take me from, your parents are from where?
So my family was in the United Nations. So really, my family is from, I think we got just about every continent except for Antarctica covered. But my dad is Palestinian. My mom is half Syrian. I have family that is in Saudi Arabia. I have family that's all throughout Africa. I mean, we have family riddled throughout Asia. It's we're pretty much everywhere. When we get together and take family photos, it's pretty hilarious, actually.
Wow.
Because no one would think that any of us are related.
Yeah, I bet. Because you were born in Virginia.
I was born in Virginia, right? The D.C. area, Alexandria.
So how do you relate to, here you are born in the United States, born in Virginia, and then you've got so much family that's from so many other places that are so different than America. How does that blend?
It was a very interesting childhood, I suppose, because our parents, they had lived in America for decades by the time I was born. So they really wanted to raise us as Americans, so we would kind of fit in seamlessly. But, anytime you have parents that are from another country, they kind of want to raise you with the cultures and the values of their home countries. Yeah. So it was kind of a little bit of a mix. Actually, my parents were pretty insistent on not teaching us Arabic too early,
really?
Just because they didn't want us to have really thick accents where we might be targets or something domestically. So they kind of waited a little bit so, we could fit in a little better in school and whatnot. And, growing up, Arabic was very limited, but luckily now with WWE, I've been able to kind of take lessons to kind of brush up and learn what I never learned, kind of fill in the hole. So it's been kind of cool.
Yes, because WWE has a program, right? You can learn a language.
Yep, little tuition reimbursement program if you want to take some classes. So awesome. Taking Arabic was what I chose.
That's hard when you're older, no? Because they always say it's so hard to learn another language when you're older.
Oh, 100%. But when you've been hearing a lot of these words as a kid, especially when you got into trouble, like you pick it up a little faster. Yeah. You hear these words and you're like, oh, that's what Mom was saying. Or I wish I would have known that when I kept, upsetting my dad and get off,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
This could have helped out in my childhood a little bit.
Wow, I love that. Now, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
So I have a brother, 2 sisters. I have an older half brother. I have a younger step brother. I have cousins that all grew up like brothers.
Wow.
We're a pretty tight-knit family. Yeah. So there was always a lot going on, a lot of chaos at home, which now, like when I go home off the road, if I'm sitting in a quiet house for like 2-3 hours, I freak out. I can't handle it. I have to leave. I can't stay home. The peace and quiet drives me insane.
I can relate to that because I grew up in Madrid, which is a big city.
There you go.
So when I was in South Carolina, it was driving me nuts. I was like, this is too slow. It's too quiet. And so I moved to New York City. I was like, oh, okay.
There you go. Washington, D.C. for me. So, yeah, I get it.
I get it. It's like, and you're a like doer. You're not only need to have like noise around you. You need to have, from what I get, like you need to be on the go. You need to be doing things. Where did you get that from?
Probably from being a student athlete, to be honest with you. So I played high school football at T.C. Williams High School in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know if you've seen the movie Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
But that's where I went to school.
No, that's the school you went to.
That's the school I went to. And actually,
seriously?
I was a freshman there when the movie came out. So all the guys from the movie, half of them still worked at the school, were either coaches or teachers or, guys that, kind of influenced me. Actually, Coach Herman Boone gave me a scholarship out of high school. Just kind of grew up with all those guys. It was a pretty cool thing. Unfortunately for me, we, as much success as the team from the movie had, we were the opposite. We won 4 games in 4 years. I played for 4 different head coaches. My senior year, I think we played in like 5 different homecomings. We lost 69-0, 65-0.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little bit of a rough patch for us there, which made college recruiting extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Trying to take it to the next level.
So how does that work for you as far as if you're not winning? What kind of mindset do you have? Because that could be very, very defeating. And you don't seem to have a personality of a defeated personality. You seem to have, when I've seen, like, no, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna go, how the heck does that happen from losing so much?
It really was tough because when you're in high school, you don't know how to get to the next level, and usually that's where your head coach comes in. But for us, we never had the same head coach. Every year it was someone different, and no college scouts are really coming around to recruit like some of the worst teams in the state. They just assume there's no talent there. So for me, it was tough because I was really focused academically. And the only level of school that was available to me was Division III, which is essentially the lowest level of college athletics. And for me, finding a school that I could play football at, but also had a very strong academic background, was very tough. Because, you know, if you go to the D3 route, you have to anticipate that you're not going to make it professional. So, yeah, you want to play football, but you need a good degree to take home. So, honestly, I only found one school that was recruiting me that had a strong business school, because that's what I wanted to study. I had an aunt that worked at Morgan Stanley growing up, and she was always kind of like a second mom to me. So when I was in middle school, she would bring me to Morgan Stanley after school and in summers to intern for her.
Wait, what?
11 years old, yes.
That's like 7th grade.
7th grade, yes.
What?
So I would...
Wait. You're in 7th grade, you're working financial in Morgan Stanley.
Yes, ma'am.
Doing interns.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How the heck? I see your aunt, but you're that smart in financing that. Like, what kind of intern are you doing?
Well, so at that point, you know, I'm a child. Right. It was just like filing, making copies. But what was really cool was I got to sit in on all not all, but like some of the client meetings if the client was okay with it, or some of like the branch meetings, and just kind of be exposed to that culture, what it would take to be successful, kind of like the buzzwords you look for, so that when I would go to class and learn about business, I could apply it right away, because I'd seen these concepts applied at work, essentially. Wow. So like that experience, even though I really wasn't doing much at the time, was very, you know, very valuable to me. It was a really cool thing. So I've always been kind of focused from an educational standpoint. So that's why I didn't want to risk my academics to, you know, just to play football in college. You know, you kind of had to find the balance. And luckily there was that one school that offered me the shot, and I was fortunate enough to earn an academic scholarship there. I was a straight A student, and it was a good couple years at my small school. But then, you know, I broke all the records in the weight room. I was the first ever freshman captain they had. I was a starter as a freshman. You know, right away it was kind of like, I've done everything that I can do here. So I always say that this was the hardest decision that I ever made, but I had everything going for me at CNU, an awesome group of friends. You started to touch on it earlier, but I was on the honor roll. I was in the honors program. I was in the business school. I was on the executive board of the business school. And I kind of gave all that up and forewent a full scholarship to walk on at the University of Maryland. I just wanted to challenge myself, you know, like play at the top level, see if I could hang with the big boys, you know, kind of get that national spotlight and play in primetime games. And I can tell you it wasn't easy, because I gave up a full ride to pay $35,000 a year to go to school. And it was very risky, to say the least. Yeah. Maryland was out of state technically, even though it was the hometown school, because I was from Northern Virginia. Like, I was the first exit on the other side of the border, actually, the state border. So, I mean, it was a very risky move, a tough one, but I don't think I would have any of this today if I didn't take that plunge, you know.
Did you, looking back, do you feel like it was the right then decision that you made?
100%.
Yeah.
It was not an easy road at Maryland. You know, you come in as a walk-on, you're competing against all these players that the coaches recruited, that they put their stamp of approval on, that they use their scholarships to sign, whose success is attached directly to their job. You know, if they recruit all these guys that don't get it done, they get fired. So when you make it as a walk-on, as a guy that essentially just asked for a spot on the team and is coming and paying his own way, you never really want to see those guys beat out your picks.
Right.
So it's just that much harder for you. And,
I can.
You know, you kind of got to climb your way up from nothing. It was a brutal path, to say the least. And we had a star-studded team at Maryland. I think my senior year, was it like 24 guys or so went to the NFL that year? Like, we had a lot of talent, but to survive in practice against those guys was just very tough. So
what do you think helped you? Here you are in that capacity, in that situation. Growing up, how were you, like, as a young kid? Were you the go, no matter what, like pushing through? Like, what kind of kid were you?
Absolutely. I mean, high energy, it's kind of how I've always been. Always got to be doing 100 things at once. I'd be playing sports with my dad, kicking a soccer ball up out in the front yard or throwing a football, and then my mom would grab us and bring us back in to study and, help us with our homework and, kind of fill in any gaps that we might have missed in school. So it was always life on the go, especially having all those siblings. There was always, you kind of learn how to thrive in chaos, and that's ultimately what prepared me in college. That's kind of where, all this kind of stay hyped stuff kind of was created, because here I am, I had the highest GPA on the team, and that was something I took pride in. So I had to fight to maintain that. My senior year, when I graduated with the highest GPA on the team, I won by like 0.01 or 0.02. So it was a battle to the end. I could never get complacent. Wow. But then on top of that, you're doing Division I athletics as a walk-on, so you have extra practices and extra meetings. And when the scholarship guys are getting training table and their meals paid for, you're not allowed in there because you're not a scholarship player. So, you're sitting there having to try and scrounge together some cash to just feed yourself and maintain weight to be successful on the field. It was just like kind of a perpetual, never-ending grind, and that's it kind of becomes a part of you. That's all you know. That's what you've come to expect, and that's just how you think life is to be handled.
So do you think that it helped you to have so many brothers and sisters in the chaos at home and all of that? Because it just...
Oh, absolutely.
It mirrored that.
We were always beating on each other, which toughened us up physically, competing with each other, so it sharpened you mentally. Yeah,
What was the toughest thing for you growing up? The toughest challenge for you?
Really, for me, it was ever just getting my spot at the table, Shoot, as your kid, with that many kids around, everybody, trying to scrounging for scraps. You're trying to get that last plate, that last meal, with whatever food is left, whatever. When you're at school, you're trying to make the grade, because academics didn't come easy to me initially. There was a lot of work that went into that. No, I wasn't very confident as a student when I started out. I definitely had some struggles. I was in all the honors programs, but in the beginning, I felt like I was towards the bottom intellectually of those honors programs, but all you need is a spot on the squad, and you'll learn you'll figure out the rest if you want it bad enough, and that's kind of how it was for me.
What made it so important? Because there's a lot of athletes that focus so much on athleticism that they don't really care about the grades. They don't care about, being smart or learning book smart or anything like that. For you, it seemed like it was important. What made it important?
My mom really beat that into us. She had a couple of master's degrees in education, so she knew firsthand how much that matters, how much grades matter. I had my aunt over at Morgan Stanley really harping on me from a business and professional standpoint. And, my dad always, was up on us, making us do everything at once. But really, it just came from being the last recruited guy, on every team. Is just they were always looking for a reason to let you go, looking for a reason to cut you. So if you weren't one of the fastest on the team, they were going to let you go. If you weren't one of the strongest, if you didn't have the playbook down, they just wanted one reason to get you off that roster to free up a spot. So you really couldn't leave them any reason. So you had to be well-rounded in everything,
Wow.
It really wasn't, it was out of necessity.
Yeah.
Kind of like survival instincts just to kind of make it.
Right. So talk to me then. How did Maryland end up going in the end of things?
Maryland was actually tough because, I
know you got on.
I don't know if I should say this, but why not?
Please.
So actually, I wasn't on scholarship my first year. It was a walk-on year. You have to prove yourself. Well, after my first year, it's like starting on some packages. I was playing. Well, I was told that I was going to be on scholarship. And the day before classes start, I get called into a coach's office, and they pretty much say, we were expecting someone to fail out. They didn't. That was going to be your scholarship. We know that you're not going to leave, because if you do, you're going to lose your academic credits. There's a rule that states you can only transfer 60 credits. I'm going into my last year. We know you're not going to leave, so we don't have to put you on scholarship. So we're not going to figure out your student loans. All right, get out of my office.
Oh, my Lord.
So I had a day to come up with $35,000 to pay for school after I was told all year I was going to be on. I was probably one of the only players in the entire NCAA that was playing in every game, making plays on national TV, that was paying for school, and it was handled in such a just unprofessional, aggressive way. I mean, that was a dagger for me. Like, that was a big risk I took. So, you know, fast forward after that season, I graduated early. I made sure to do it. And I went into my coach's office. I was starting on every package at the time. And I went into my coach's office. I was like, look, everything you've ever asked me to do, I've done. And I've done it with a smile on my face. Am I on scholarship? He said, maybe. I don't know if we're going to put you on this year, which would have been my last year. So I told him, it's like, I don't know if you know this, but I just graduated. NCAA rule states that I can transfer to another school, go into a graduate program, and not have to sit out a year. So either you put me on scholarship right now, or I'm transferring to UVA, and I'll see you on the field next season.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't like that.
You.
Oh, man, I laid it down. That was years pent up of aggression and just doing all the right things just to have it taken from me, but I laid it out on the table. He had no choice but to put me on scholarship. Again, that's where academics comes into play, being smart. He knew I knew the playbook. Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Don't put me on. I'm taking that playbook to another team.
Oh, my God.
And I don't like having to do stuff like that, but it was also a first real lesson for me that no one's going to give you anything. You have to take it.
Yeah.
And it
but
worked out.
It's not even taking it. It's you've earned it. You earned it. And because you earned it, you get put in a position where you're just defending yourself. You're defending all your hard work. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if somebody's going to try to take that hard work and say, no, you know what, I've changed my mind, screw you. No,
yes,
you're
ma'am.
not. You have to defend yourself, and you have to stand up for yourself, and that's what you did.
Exactly right.
That is awesome.
And it was a pretty good feeling because I had the full support from the entire program, all the staff. They were like, hey, they didn't even know about that situation, but they're like, yeah, I heard. He's going to go. You better put him on.
Oh, wow.
And they were speaking in the dark, but, you know.
Once you did that coach, like, was it hard? Did he make it harder for you because you kind of got the upper hand for you that last year?
Well, you know, he did. But honestly, at that point, there was really nothing more he could have done to me because he was already dragging me through the ringer for years. You know, so I'd taken his best shot. And the thing that irritated him the most is he'd get all worked up and I'd smile about it. Mm-hmm. You know, like he wanted to break me and I knew what he was doing. And you know, he could run me till I was about to pass out or put me in drills with the biggest guys that, you know, kick the crap out of me. It's kind of like that Rudy thing, you know. Yeah. I'm going to keep smiling. I'm going to keep yelling. I'm going to keep sounding off and letting them know I'm enthusiastic. I'm not going to let them break me.
But what did you use mentally? What did you say to yourself? This guy's not going to break me. How did you keep that smile? How did you not get bitter about it, want to beat him up? You know what I mean? Like, how did you not let the rage take over?
You know, it became one of those things where you'd really start to feel it building up. And to not snap, especially in a very aggressive sport, it's not easy. So I used to go home after a long day. You know, guys would be on rotation, 4 plays in, 8 plays off. I never got pulled out. I had to stay in because they were trying to wear me out. It was one of those things where you get home and you kind of look yourself in the mirror. And when you're staring at yourself, you kind of hold yourself to a higher degree of responsibility. So if you can see the weakness on your face, you wanting to mope or let them get to you when you're staring yourself in your own eyes, it's a lot harder to do that, to cave or quit. And, you know, honestly, it was kind of one of those things where I'd give myself hype speeches. You know, you can handle this. You can do this. these guys aren't as good as you. They haven't been through what you're going through. That guy might be better than you, but he sure as hell hasn't worked as hard. And in the end, you're going to wear him down with effort, with work ethic, with perseverance. Because when adversity strikes him, he's going to tap out or he's going to quit. They can't do anything more to you. You've been at the bottom. You're going to keep fighting, and he won't be able to.
Wow.
Kind of one of those things. And I never believed it in the beginning when I'd say this crap to myself.
Really?
But when repetition, you keep saying and you keep saying, and you slowly start to believe it, and then you slowly start to realize, hey, man, I'm right. I'm still going strong. Like, they haven't been able to break me, and it's, well, no one else could have hung through this crap. No one else could have paid all this money and, been embarrassed every time it was time to feed the team, and you got to stand outside, begging for scraps. Like, it's not an easy lifestyle, even fast forward to the NFL, it was the same thing. I went to... I wanted
to talk about that because you went to Green Bay and Cardinals. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, pro day is like your big tryout for the NFL, where the teams come and evaluate you. Well, I was a big numbers guy. I worked really hard to break all the records in the weight room. The all-time records for all positions. When guys would take days off in the summer, I was doing 2-a-days. I was doing 3-a-days. I wasn't sleeping. Actually, when I transferred to Maryland, I was still working at Morgan Stanley, working 8 hours a day. I was still commuting from Virginia to workouts in the summer. So, I was waking up at 4 a.m. to walk to the bus stop, to take the bus to the metro stop, to metro to the University of Maryland, to run a mile, to get to campus, do morning workouts, hop back on the metro, go to Morgan Stanley, work 8 hours, hop back on the metro, go right back to College Park, do evening workouts, run myself to death. Metro to the bus, walk home, get home at midnight, wake up at 3:45, 4 a.m. every day, 7 days a week, trying to get things done. I didn't sleep. I didn't have a choice, but I knew I wanted to make an impression and show them I was more in shape than the big guys and break all the records. So, here's years of earning these accomplishments. I get finally to my pro day where I'm gonna put on a day. I'm gonna show these guys, you might not know who Dean Mutati is, but you're about to find out, because I'm gonna be yelling. I'm gonna run the speed of the linebackers and running backs, and I'm gonna lift heavier than the old linemen. And I ended up tearing my hamstring 5 days before. So
do you think that was from overdoing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's something I got to try and convince myself now is I'll get off these red eyes from West Coast Raws and go straight to the gym on no sleep and go and try and break all the records they set at the Performance Center. And sometimes I got to check myself hey, man, you've done this dance before. Because injuries have kind of plagued me through my football career from overdoing it.
Right.
But, my stock kind of tanked for the NFL, so pretty much what happens is I'm watching the draft, I don't get drafted. They sign undrafted free agents. After the draft, I don't get signed to that. I get a call from my agent, and he tells me that the Packers were going to bring me into a tryout for minicamp with their team. So they were going to have the entire team, all their new draft picks, their signees, and they were going to bring in about 30 guys trying out for the team. And I went out there, and I just had a feeling I was going to make it the whole time, just because of, my path at Maryland being this underrated guy, this guy that never got a shot. It's I know how to operate in these situations. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to be vocal, I'm not going to get tired when everybody else is, and I'm going to stand out. And, at the end of the day, they signed 3 of us out of 30, and that was my way in green, to the NFL. I got my contract. Worked hard through camp. Really balled out. I felt even my last preseason game, I only got 11 plays, but in 11 plays, I had 6 tackles, 2 for loss, and a forced fumble. I thought I was, had a good shot to make the team, but writing was on the wall. I wasn't one of their draft picks. Got released.
How did that feel before you move on, when you get released after all that hard work?
At that point, I had a feeling it wasn't done.
Okay.
I played really well. I was it's a matter of time someone's going to sign me.
Okay.
I was encouraged. I thought there was a possibility for me to go back to Green Bay if an injury happened. Sat at home the entire season. No call.
Oh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm. It was tough. So luckily I had my academics to fall back on. I called Merrill Lynch. I called Morgan Stanley. I go in for some interviews. I sign a contract with Merrill Lynch to go into finance. And 2 days before I start, the Arizona Cardinals called me.
Oh, my gosh.
So I called Merrill Lynch. They were all for it. They were like, hey, go.
Oh, yeah?
We're here waiting.
Oh, wow.
I go to Arizona, plugged right into the system, played better maybe than I ever have. Coach calls my agent, tells me I'm a shoo-in. First week of camp, I blow out my calf.
Oh.
It tears off the back of my leg and rolled up in the back of my knee like a window shade.
Oh, my. Oh. That just
it wasn't
hurts
pleasant.
The sound of it. And from overtraining?
Probably overtraining. I think I went too hard in the summer. I was excited. I was like, I've worked my entire career for an opportunity like this. Yeah. They actually like me here. They actually are high on me here.
Right.
Like, I got a real shot and then overdid it. Too much, maybe. Just fired out of my stance and boom, pop.
Which is a real lesson in the fact that some people don't work hard enough, but then some people like you're overdoing it. And that's, again, the secret to life is balance.
Yeah.
It does come down to balance.
I've learned that now.
Yeah.
Finally. But actually, I'm kind of grateful that injury happened. In my mind, I think I would have made the team. In the NFL, you never know.
Right.
But what ended up happening was, even though my calf was disconnected, I actually the doctors cleared me and they cut me. They said I was good to play.
Yeah.
They knew that I was going to file a grievance with the players union, but they sent me home. And my world was upside down because I couldn't walk. I had to move back in with my mom so she could kind of help me around. I was in a walking boot for like 4 months.
Wow.
They cut me without a dime. You know, they didn't give me my injured reserve contract. You know, usually.
But why?
That's just kind of how they were doing things at the time. They knew a grievance was coming, but
why was a grievance coming?
Because I think they knew I was still injured, but they were just it's kind of one of those things that happen, one of those nasty stories you don't hear about in the papers, one of those behind the scenes things.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on my podcast before.
And that's what Chasing Glory is all about.
I don't even know if I should be talking about this. Well, anyways, yeah, so I go home. Here's another fun fact about middle school. I was with my ex-girlfriend since I was 11 as well.
Oh, wow.
She leaves after this. So now I go home, I can't walk, I'm injured. NFL career's done. They told my doctor told me it was a career ender. I'm broke, I'm living with mom, my girlfriend leaves.
Oh my God.
And this all happens within a week.
Oh, that's a tough week.
And this was after I was riding high. This is the best I've ever felt. Finally an opportunity, boom, everything's gone. And I remember sitting there and I was just like, I didn't know what to do, you know. I didn't know how to handle the situation. I was beat up pretty bad. Not even physically, more so mentally at that point.
I can get that.
And I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And again, I remember I was sitting there. I was in my mom's basement, and I'm looking myself in the mirror, and you know, I saw myself feeling sorry for myself, and you know, cut a promo to myself. What are you going to do about it? You going to cry? You going to quit? You know, this has been your path since day one. You're going to give up now, or are you going to run with this? You know, you've been a survivor your whole career. No one's ever given you a shot. Nobody's ever, you know, given you an opportunity that you literally did not have to take from them. What are you going to do? And I talked myself out of it. I went back, I finished my master's degree, 28 credits in one semester, all my MBA to finish. I went to 4 hours of rehab every single day. I started working out again, even though I couldn't walk. Again, it was the same thing, taking classes in rehab. I'd leave the house every day at 3:30, 4 a.m. I wouldn't get home till midnight. just doing everything I could to get back, and eventually I got cleared.
Wow. Now the rehab, though, you were taking it where you're listening to the people that are giving you the rehab saying, like, don't overdo it, like, this is what you need to do.
I was listening this time around. I wasn't going too hard.
Good.
I went back to the University of Maryland. The training staff there, they were all close friends. They helped me out so well. And, I ended up getting cleared. So that's kind of when WWE came into play, because I got back in shape. I got strong again. I'm talking to a couple of teams. The Jets and the Raiders were among them. I'm thinking I might legitimately have another shot at a camp. Well, I'm sitting there watching Monday Night Raw one day with the Gronkowski family. Yeah. And they're all like, Dean, this is what you should be doing. Forget football. I was like, hell yeah, that'd be sweet. But, I didn't put any weight behind it. If you're an outsider, you don't know how to get signed by the WWE. It's not like football where you can sign up in school and just segue your way in. Like, you got to know somebody. It's like a very unorthodox, more untraditional path. So I didn't put any weight behind it. But Mr. Gronkowski, their dad, was college roommates with Mike Rotunda at Syracuse.
Oh, my gosh.
They were teammates. So, Big G... he hits me up, he goes, Dean, like, I know IRS. I can give them a shout. We can probably make this happen. I was like, yeah, please do it. And I didn't think it was actually going to happen.
What was it, before you move forward, what was it when you were watching that? That was your first glimpse of it, or did you grow up a little bit watching wrestling?
No, we grew up watching wrestling. Being a WWE superstar was the first thing I ever wanted to do.
Oh, it was?
Oh, yeah. Like, my dad and my brother and I watched every week, never missed a week.
So it's not out of the blue, like,
no.
He's just introducing it to you right then. No, okay.
Yeah, that was the first thing I wanted to do as a kid. But, like I said, you can't sign up in school for it. So I went the football route.
Got it.
And, I progressed through. So, yeah, there even was a point where I'm very all in. So, like, I stopped watching wrestling for a number of years because I was focused on football. Now that I'm here in WWE, I almost never watch the NFL. Very rarely I'll, like, check in to see, how Rob Gronk's doing, or, check in on the Packers. But I don't really sit there watching games like that anymore,
Right. Okay, so take us back then to now that he knows Mike and what happens.
They make the call and they set it up. We went to a live event in Buffalo, and we were sitting front row, and I was right then, forget football. Like, I got to be doing this. This is it. Like, I have an opportunity to do the first thing I ever wanted to do long before football. Forget football. Like, I'm coming here. So we pursued it. I got my tryout. I went in, cut some promos for Regal at a Raw in D.C., and they gave me a shot.
Wow. And little did Regal know that you'd been cutting promos to yourself in the mirror for all those years.
I cut all the pregame speeches in college. Even Green Bay, like Kevin Green was my coach with the Packers.
Wow.
From WCW.
Yeah.
And we used to talk about it, and I'd be out there around, and I'm like the undrafted free agent, the rookie, Yeah. But I'd get the team all amped up because they knew how I was, high energy, and they'd get with it, Like, I felt like I could always get people going because I could get myself going through the tough times.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had a knack for it, but yeah,
Seriously, I'm sitting there thinking, because when you're in promo class, I mean, that's part of it, right? You're like, all right, you're like talking to somebody, and the whole time you're talking to yourself in the mirror, you're already in class. You're already studying. You're already doing it. All right, so anyway, you're in promo class now. You're doing all of this.
Yeah, well, it worked out. They gave me the tryout. We get the contract, and we reported to, FCW in Tampa. And I was walking into a situation I knew absolutely nothing about. Yeah, you watch on TV, but you don't really know what goes on. Like, maybe if you work on the independents, you have a better idea of what to be prepared for. I know those guys, even when they come in, it's still a shock because of how WWE does things, but I came in completely blind.
Yeah.
My tryout was literally cutting promos at Raw. I'd never run the ropes. I never did anything in the ring.
Right.
I'd never taken a bump. I had no idea what to expect.
Right.
All I knew is that I'm coming in from football, and I had to watch my back because here's guys that, had paid their dues on the independent circuits, who had paid their dues within this industry, and you got a guy coming in as an outsider someone as they might see as a blue chip recruit, someone who hadn't earned their contract.
Right.
And I had to be cognizant of that. And for me, I completely understood that perception, because that was me my whole career path as the walk-on, the guy that wasn't recruited, the guy that would watch these 5-star recruits come in and get pushed ahead of them just because they were the recruited guy, even if they weren't as good. To essentially get a contract without proving it in this industry,
Right.
I understood it. So any hate that I had from, the other wrestlers in the beginning, I understood. I didn't appreciate it because, I'm sitting here working my ass off. I was the first to show up every day. I was the last to leave. I was being vocal. Yes, sir. No, sir. I didn't come in with any kind of ego, doing extra conditioning. Every extra session I could go to, I would. So when you're getting opportunities for matches and guys weren't liking it.
That's jealousy, though. Mm-hmm. That's jealousy when it's an ugly thing. And I tell people, don't be jealous. Like, that's the last thing you need to do. Run your own race and, focus on yourself and what you can do. And you can't look at somebody else and put hate on somebody else because they're getting an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how were you able to handle that when that was happening?
It was something to keep an eye on, but honestly, it wasn't anything I wasn't used to at that point. So, it is what it is.
Did you experience that in football?
Absolutely. I mean, not from like the players because they were the recruited guys. I was the one feeling left out, but from the coaches, yeah. You'd outperform guys all the time and they'd still get the spots over you. Green Bay, I outplayed all my competition, but I still got cut. I knew I was going to get cut, though. They were the drafted guys.
Right.
But what would irk me would be the guys that would come in and say, you don't earn this, you don't deserve this, I did. I came here without a dollar to my name. I've come here with nothing. Well, I never respected that because for me, I came here with a lot of opportunity. Like, I turned down the NFL. I turned down a contract deep into 6 figures with Wall Street to take this opportunity to make $39,000 a year, to come in and be a trainee, to start all over again. I started with $150,000 in college debt. When I came to FCW, I was literally losing $1,000 a month to be here when I first signed here.
Yeah.
They were in the green, I was in the red. They're talking about how they came from nothing. Well, I gave up everything to be here.
Right.
I sacrificed a lot. You don't have student debt to pay for. You're not paying off the bills I have to. You don't have to look for other areas to earn an income just to survive here. All you'd have to do is show up. So your story about having nothing, it doesn't impress me. So don't give me that crap and then hate on me. Like, I sacrificed more than you ever knew. And that's when kind of like the ego kicked in a little bit. And as a heel now, I've kind of been able to tap into that. It's like, well, yeah, I worked my ass off harder than you ever have to have the things that I have. That's why I got here. And I still started in debt. Like, it still was a harder route for me to get here. I don't care about your indie career. Like, you got a great opportunity. I took a massive pay cut and gave up everything I knew to have a shot here, and it wasn't even guaranteed.
Right.
My aunt, who was always, my business guru, someone I would turn to and talk to about these decisions, thought I was out of my mind for coming here. Of course, my family wanted me to be happy. If I wanted to come here, they were going to support that. They knew we grew up as fans,
right.
But it made no sense. It was not a logical move for me to come here. The money that I'd be making on Wall Street, I still haven't gotten to what I would have had then, even now.
Well, you're saying you literally came here for the passion. You did not come for the money.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happier here than I would be there, that's for sure. I don't think I've accomplished nearly as much as I want to, as much as I was hoping to. I don't think I've accomplished even a fraction of what I was expecting to accomplish. I have a long ways to go. I have a lot of catching up to do with where I want to be, but even despite all that, I'm still happy to be here. I still love what I do. very happy to have the opportunity to run down that ramp, to come out of that curtain, to perform in front of a global syndicate, to see the expressions on children's faces. You've heard all that, but that's kind of how it is for me. It's a little bit less about, maybe the titles and a little bit more about making the impression on the people that are watching, making an impact, the behind the scenes work, be a star, make a wish. Like, how cool is it to be able to do those things? In football, you're wearing a helmet. Nobody sees your face. Very few personalities in the NFL stand out outside of your pads. Here we all do.
Yeah. Wow, I never even saw it like that, but you're absolutely right. There are no helmets. Yeah, unless you're one of them, luchadores.
I'll never be one of them. I can't do any of that stuff.
So tell me, what do you think it's going to take for you to get to where you want to be? And how much do you feel you're in control of that?
I think it's a little harder here, to be in control of your situation. I'm not using that as a cop-out at all, because when I look around and look for someone to blame as to why I haven't achieved more than I have, I only look at myself. I don't make excuses. I'm not one of these guys that looks around the locker room and points fingers. That's never been my MO. But hanging in there, getting better, becoming a smarter entertainer rather than opposed to maybe one that just hangs his hat on work ethic. Using my brain rather than my body a little more. I do all this hard training. Well, maybe I need to sit back and evaluate myself from a mental standpoint. And I watch a lot of tape. Anytime I have a match on TV, I watch it back 10, 20 times that night alone, let alone the rest of the week. I'm nitpicking everything I can. But it's coming together. I feel like we're making some strides. I can actually physically feel that. I can see it in my work. I think good things are on the horizon, but you work your ass off praying for those opportunities, because you might only get one. And whenever that comes, you're never going to have a heads up. You know how it is here.
Yeah.
The day before, you're going to, think you might not be even on the next day. Hour before the show starts, there's your opportunity.
Right.
And are you going to make an excuse about it because you weren't prepared?
Well, I always say that famous saying, luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Absolutely.
That's luck. Because a lot of times we do get an opportunity, but we're not prepared.
Yep.
And we say, oh, I'm not ready. Well, sorry, opportunity just passed you. There
Absolutely.
You go, right? So with you, here you were, WrestleMania 33. You won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It was pretty cool with your friend, Rob, Gronkowski, when he's involved and all. And then you do the Hype Brothers with Zack, and we'll talk about that. But it looks like now you've had this heel turn, and it looked like things were going for you, and now, where do you feel like you're at right now?
I'm in no man's land right now.
And why do you feel like, because it felt like you were starting to get a push. It felt like you were starting to get momentum, storyline, all of that.
I wish I did know so I could fix the problem if there is one.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, of course, there's a talented locker room. There's a lot of guys fighting for a very increasingly limited number of spots. That's kind of been the path of my career. It's been very stop and go. The second I feel like, all right, now's the time we're going to get going, boom, I disappear from TV for months. We have this awesome moment at WrestleMania, which I had a Mania moment. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I am aware of what the critics are always going to say. They're going to think that I only won that match because of Rob's interference. Do I think that's the case? No.
I don't think so.
You got to think maybe a little bit, but you never know.
I don't think so. I thought it made for a really cool storyline. It's part of the...
I think it was a really cool thing with, my best friend getting involved. And, he didn't eliminate anybody. He almost, if you watch it back, he almost cost me the match. I almost got thrown out right afterwards trying to get him out. But, you know what the critics are going to say.
Well, that's always critics. There's always people.
But, and, I get motivated by that, though, because, hey, man, I'll check Twitter. I'll read the blogs. Like, I want to know when people are talking trash because it motivates me more. But yeah, it's been stop and go, and I wish I did know why it's been that way, but things happen and you got to adapt. And I'm going to find a way to get back on TV. That's for damn sure. It's going to have to happen. I think I can bring something to the table that no one else can. I think my background has prepared me for that. I swear to you, I think the WWE universe hasn't even seen 5% of what I can do. They haven't had an opportunity. Why would they? What
do you think you can bring that's different?
I can bring the intensity. I don't think anyone has an idea of what I can do on the mic. Give me that mic. I'm begging for that mic. I don't understand why I can have these opportunities in life outside of the WWE where you give me a mic in front of a crowded stadium and I'll have the whole place going nuts. I just did it on Saturday, at the University of Maryland game. Like, I had that place upside down before the game started. Motivational speeches. You put me in front of, Fortune 500 companies, I'll get that place going. Like, locker rooms, how does a undrafted rookie on an NFL team with Pro Bowlers and stars get people motivated? How do you motivate those guys when you're the scrub, when you're the nobody? Like, there's things I think I can do that no one else can, and no one's been able to see that. I'm going to find a way to segue that in. I think I have an academic and educational background that's never been seen here before. I know confidently that there's no one in the history of the WWE that has had a more well-rounded resume than me, because I know that there's no one in any industry that has had my resume. And yeah, it does sound a little arrogant, but in order to survive in this business, you kind of have to be that way a little bit, and that's been something I've been trying to do recently. Is in the past, I feel like I've respected people so much that I've almost toned down myself a little bit, taken a back seat, not been aggressive with my abilities to let them shine out to earn a spot. Well, that crap can't happen anymore, because it's go time now. It's been stop and go for too long. I am new in this business, but I've been here long enough to know that things have to happen, and they need to happen now.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I see this intensity. I see this fire. It's awesome. I want to ask you, though, with Zack Ryder, with Hype Brothers, how was that experience for you?
It was very interesting, because I'm coming off of an injury in NXT, and I'm more motivated than ever. All right, sometimes you need to take a step back to look at things from afar before you put yourself in check, and that's where I was. So I was hungry. I mean, I spent my entire time while I was out working my ass off and watching more film than I ever have. I mean, granted, I had the extra time, but I came back with a plan. And then when we come back, the Hype Bros was presented to us. He didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it.
Oh, really?
We weren't going to say no. Here's an opportunity. We both looked at it. We're not going to turn down an opportunity. Like I said, you don't know when these are going to come across. Right. You got to take it. You got to make the best of it. And I mean, here's two guys that are literally polar opposites. He had the path that I didn't have. He would have been the first guy to hate on me when I came into FCW because of where I came from. I would have looked at his path and not appreciated his as much because of what I had done outside of here. So here's two guys that are coming from different walks of life, but we had to look at it as a positive. He can help me with this. I can help him with that. Even as the new guy, I can bring something to the table. We can make this work. And it was kind of like, we didn't have a lot of big opportunities as the Hype Bros, but I know I learned a lot from him. Here is a guy that made it a little easier on me getting called up, because I got the veteran guy on the team, and hopefully, I was lighting a little bit of a fire under him to, give him another life, give him another opportunity, and kind of hopefully motivate him a little more. But I think we reached the point where there was no more that could be done with that tag team. Even though we didn't really accomplish much, I don't think there was much more to learn from one another.
It's funny, because when I hear you say all this, I realize it was kind of doomed from the beginning. because I'm a firm believer, if you're not 100% invested what you're about to do, it's not going to work. And you saying right off that you guys, neither one of you really wanted to do it. You really weren't believing in it, but you were going to do it because the opportunity was there.
Well, Zack had already been a tag team champion. He had most of his goals would have to come from being a solo act. I had never ever wanted to be, a tag team wrestler. I had done the team thing for a long time.
Right.
I wanted to be me. I wanted to be unfiltered and bring my game to the table the way I wanted to do it, not have to change how I do things for a tag partner. But that being said, we knew that the opportunity that was on hand, and we really did do our best to try and figure this thing out. How can we play off of each other to make this thing work? Zack had no off days for a while. He was doing his road loops, and then he'd come do NXT shows.
Wow.
That was a big sacrifice on his end.
Yeah.
And I was doing everything I could to study tag team wrestling, and I didn't want to be a guy that was going to doom his career. I knew what he was going through. I was trying to do as much as I could to meet him halfway and bring, my mentality to the tag team and anything. I mean, it got to the point where we would, when we would do loops together, when we travel together, he's filling me in on what the business is like, especially when I was new. He's filling me in on what the business is like, what to expect, what to look for walking into matches. I was kind of bringing him up to speed on life outside of the ring. What have you been doing with your money? Where have you been investing it? How have you prepared for a life after wrestling?
Wow.
This is what a stock is. This is what a bond is. This is what a municipal fund is.
Yeah.
Whatever I could do to try and give back, even outside of the ring. And, we hung out sometimes outside of the ring, which was pretty hilarious because the things that I like to do outside of here, he hates, and I bring him around sometimes, and he'd love it, but he would never want to admit it to this day.
The odd couple.
Oh, it was great. And I wish we kind of, we never really got to tap into that during the tag team, which we didn't want to be a comedy act, so we kind of tried to prevent that from happening too much.
But it could have worked.
It could have worked. And for me personally, it kind of, I don't know, I guess when I came, especially to the main roster, we didn't really like how the Hype Bros turned out to be. Here I am, everything we've talked about, I developed like this stay hype mantra where I could never get complacent, where I had to constantly outwork everybody, where I had to be a straight-ahead student. I had to have all the records on the field. I had to be able to play every position and break all the weight room records. I had to do all this stuff to create this identity, to create an opportunity. I had this stay hyped mantra, which still to this day means the world to me. I swear by it. And stay hyped all of a sudden kind of became, I'm always energetic. I'm always laughing. I'm always making jokes. It ruined my identity, I felt like. And I don't know how we got to that point. When I noticed that it was starting to go down that path, I felt like it was too late. And it was something to this day that, I hate that. He started to feel that way too with where this tag team was going, and he said it, I've said it. We both think the day that team died was the best, career-wise, one of the best things that could have happened to us. I got my little solo run afterwards. I had my Mania win.
Right.
I got to go off and do my thing, start to show them a little bit of what I can do, and it's way more than I possibly could have done in the Hype Bros. Even Zack, look at him. He won the IC title at Mania by himself when we were still in the team.
Right.
So right then and there, a Mania win for me and a Mania win for him. What? We don't need each other.
Yeah.
Let's.
But what's beautiful? The lessons that you learned outside the ring. Right now, you sharing the things that he shared with you, and then you helping him financially, him giving you the insights of the business and you giving him the insights financially about how have you prepared. That's amazing. That, think about it, outside of your careers, you guys helped each other on a human level, that think about if all of that was taken, if you didn't know what he gave you, if you didn't know all of that stuff and he didn't know all the things. I mean, it's, you hear what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like some things for me, I think there are times that things happen for a reason. And I think in that case, it was more than just wrestling. It had nothing to really do about wrestling. Yes, it showed you what you don't want. You want to be a singles. That's great. And yes, you learned more about the business. And yes, you helped another human being with him financially that could set him up for life. So that's a really big thing that happened with Hype Bros that's way outside of wrestling.
And I think years down the line, hey, me and Zack Ryder might be friends.
Yeah.
In a personal standpoint. I'm just thinking of all the stuff that has happened as a team, He hates asking me for things, but every week I felt like I was getting a text like, hey, man, hey, you still got that hookup at Universal? Hey, you got tickets to that show? Can you help me out? And he hated asking me for it, but he'd still do it. Not always. I never give him a hard time about it then. But anyways, when we'd have these matches together, we weren't looking at each other as friends or what our relationship outside of the ring. I mean, we looked at each other as this is the guy holding back your career. So it was really. We separated it. I mean, it was really personal. We had that match on the kickoff at Clash of Champions. I don't think there was it was live rounds all day. I mean, it was in there. It was physical, man. Like, I felt every shot he gave me. I know that.
Yeah.
And it's coming. I mean, we were amped up, and but it's kind of interesting thinking about it now. Like you said, that here we have this relationship of we knew how much we may have helped each other, inside, outside of the ring. But at that time, it was. Because
you're focused on career.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens, right? You get consumed with that.
Absolutely.
And it's understandable. But sometimes when you can take a step back and look at it and go, wait, this is not just about the career. Like, look what came out of it.
Yeah.
And that, for me, I would say just appreciate that for what it was and the learning lessons, too, that came out of that.
Absolutely.
And then now it fires you up. Like, you were fired up. I want to be a singles guy. This is what I want to do. My last question to you, this has been so insightful. This is amazing. But I got to ask you, has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it was going to look? When you're a kid and you're looking at your future, has it turned out the way you thought it was going to be thus far?
You know what? I try to look at it in wrestling as I did with football. In the moment, hell no. It was brutal. It was way harder than it should have been. But in the end, yeah, I'm so grateful it happened. I'm grateful I was a walk-on. I'm grateful I had to earn my scholarship. I'm grateful I had to take it from them. I'm so much more proud of myself that I had to fight my way into the NFL, to transfer from a D3 to a D1 and take those opportunities because it made me how I am today, that nothing was given to me, that I was never the 5-star recruit. And, now for wrestling, I haven't accomplished nearly what I want to. I think I'm, of course, a lot of guys think this, but I believe it. I think I'm one of the most underrated and underutilized guys in this company. But I think years from now, I'm going to be grateful for this. I've missed out on a lot of pay-per-view paychecks and a lot of opportunities. And, I haven't won a title yet, but I don't want to be given that crap. I don't want to be that guy. I want to have the same career path in WWE that I did in football. I want to have to suffer through this. I want to have to appreciate this. So when I do have those bigger moments, I know that I earned this and I took this. That, whether the fans didn't like me, whether, the coaches, not necessarily that they might not like me, they believe in other guys more. I don't care what the reason is. I don't want them to give it to me. I want to take it from them. And I think that's going to happen. I think it's a matter of time. I just think I just need that opportunity. And I'm going to catch everybody off guard, and I can't wait to smile and tell them I told you so. And in the end, ultimately, that's going to be way more satisfying. It's going to be something I'll be way more proud of than anything else.
Ooh, you've given me goosebumps, dude. That is awesome. Seriously, I am pulling for you. It's an amazing story that you have, and it really is real, raw, and inspiring, as we say here. So thank you. And for the fans that actually want to keep up with you, because I know everyone now is going to be like, oh, I have to keep up with his career. How do we find you on social media platforms?
Yes, Instagram at Mojo, Twitter at Mojo Rawley WWE.
Awesome.
There it is.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. It's been awesome. I'm glad I'm on the show. I made the cut.
Anytime.
Yes, ma'am.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
All right, did I not tell you what an incredible interview? Are you guys not more connected to Mojo than ever? I know I am. I know now that I am pulling for him even more than ever. What a story. What a guy that has really overcome obstacles. And I mean, not just like the obstacles that obviously injuries have caused, but situations where it wasn't necessarily fair. You know, life is not fair, but he pushes through. And that's what I love, is that he's really teaching all of us to push through, take responsibility, do what you can. And now he's just determined to make an impact. I think he can make a huge impact here in the WWE. I personally do. I think that he's right. If they give him the microphone, it'll be incredible. I don't know, there's just something about him that I really like watching. And so it's going to be great to see him go to the top, just really go and grab it and take it. And, you know, Becky Lynch did that. So it's really cool to see, you know, and hear where Becky Lynch was at and how frustrated she was. And then she was like, that's it. I'm going to go take it. And I encouraged, after the whole thing was over and we turned off the microphones, I told him, I said, you know what? Go back and listen to Becky Lynch's interview. She went out and she took it. You know, she said, enough is enough. Like, I'm going to go after this. And I think he can absolutely do the same. So good luck to you, Mojo. I thought it was an incredible interview and just very, very real, raw, and inspiring. So inspiring. So, guys, thank you again for joining me. Thank you for following the show. Make sure you tell somebody about it. At least one person. Spread the word. Be my CG squad out there. And make sure you subscribe to the show. Review. I love reading the reviews. So make sure you write a review and rate the show. We've got a 5-star rating. So right now you can see those 5 stars. Just hit that and continue that fabulous rating that you guys are giving the show. It makes all the difference in the world. And just want to thank you, because really just having you here week after week, it's my connection that I feel like I haven't left WWE, because I'm still connected to you guys this way. So it's pretty awesome. So without further ado, have a great week. Live out there with much peace, love, and passion. And remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. Love you. Peace out.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends, and be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite shows.